What you're looking at here is this is exit polls in terms of the party ID of the composition of the electorate going from 1984 forward. Okay, and the first thing to sort of note about this is the blue line is the Democrats, the red line is Republicans, and the green line is independents. Okay, the first thing to note is in the prior 10 elections, look at how consistent Democrats were as a portion of the electorate. They ranged basically from 36 to 39%. I mean, pretty consistent over time.
Okay.
But what you see happen here in terms of this particular election, this is stunning. What you saw was a 6% decrease in terms of the portion of the electorate that was identifying as Democrats. And so going from 37% down to 31, just to give you a sense, that represents about 10 million less people in this election identifying as Democrats.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in contrast to that, what you saw was what that produced for Republicans was you see Republicans came in at 35% and Democrats came in 31%. And that was a 4-point party ID advantage for Republicans. That's the largest in the history of exit polling. The other thing to note, it wasn't like Republicans did well here either. If you notice there, they went from 36 to 35, so they went down 1 point. And this gets to sort of the key outcome in terms of what occurred in this, and that is looking at independents. Independents went from 27% to 34%. 34%. That meant there were more independents in this voting in this election than Democrats. Okay, the last time you have a party where they were finishing third, you have to go all the way back to Watergate, to find a party that came in third. And they came in third at 31. And by the way, this was pretty consistent across all the states where you saw in most of the competitive states, independents finishing ahead of Democrats. And so
Right. This is not only a national trend, it happened in 5 out of the 7 competitive presidential states. And I haven't heard this I have hardly heard this discussed in the media.
No,
coverage at all.
I've only heard one Democrat actually mention this, and that's Rahm Emanuel. But there's another element here, and now we get back to the value of an after action report. Not all of that is just simply 10 million Democrats didn't vote, and all of a sudden 10 million independents came out of nowhere and voted. What that's a mix of, and I'm not sure what that mix is that there were probably some Democrats, given Biden's economic program, decided that they didn't want to identify as Democrats. They want to identify as independents. They were still probably Democrats, but they were identifying as independents. What that scale is and what that relationship is unclear, which is one of the reasons why you would want to do an after action report. But that clearly occurred, and that's a real challenge for Democrats moving forward.